Welcome into the Cougar Cast here at the Kokomo Post Sports. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, and the man sitting next to me is the Director of Athletics at IU Kokomo, Mr. Tom Norris. Tom, welcome back to the show.
I appreciate having me 3 weeks in a row. We're on a good track here. I know there was a few times last week where we kind of missed some sporadic weeks, so we'll call 3 a streak this time.
Man, I like that kind of streak. We're not canceled. Things are looking good for us, and it sounds like things are looking good for the athletic department at IUK as well. Anything you need to update us with, or what's going on with IUK right now?
Yeah, it's been, as busy as people would think here with the start of the school year. We've got our fall sports that are, on full go, full swing, whatever you want to call it. We just had soccer at home this past weekend to get St. Francis out of Joliet, Illinois. They scored a late goal from Mackenzie Gibbons to earn a 1-1 draw, which was great. St. Francis scored early in the first half, and we were able to find that equalizer late and earn that draw. So, good opportunity, for soccer. And then they're back at home this coming Friday at 7 o'clock against Siena Heights. Another really good non-conference competition for us in test. And, I encourage everybody here in Kokomo. I know Friday night's a high school football night, but, if somebody would rather come see some soccer, we would encourage you to come out and check out a really good product. And, we're not quite there yet, but our viewers and fans will hear later in this show from our head volleyball coach, Heather Hayes, who has done a tremendous job with that program. And they're back at home, or not back at home. I guess they had the invitational, the start of school, the 25th and 26th, but finally back at home next week for a River States Conference match. So that'll be their first one of the year. Men's women's golf opened up this past weekend at IU East out in Richmond, Indiana, and had really good showings from both of those programs, and a lot of young new faces in both of those programs on both the men and women's side. So happy to see them get going. This Friday night, our cross country men and women both open up at Indiana Wesleyan with the Indiana Wesleyan Twilight. So it'll be their first time in action this Friday and this fall. So we're going. It's here, and it's as busy as it can be, but love to see our kids competing.
Something else that I do believe is happening this week, I believe my memory is working correctly, September 8th, the newest sport at IU Kokomo is having their first, I hope I just say competition. I don't know esports very well, but esports first time at IUK is having their first competition, I believe on the 8th. Am I correct?
Yep. I missed that one, and I appreciate you for bringing that up. But yeah, first one ever will be kind of a historic day, and our esports arena's not quite ready yet, so they will be in a temporary space, but doesn't make it any less exciting. As like you said, that'll be our first time competing here with the new esport program. And you guys heard from Coach Nick Leahy last week, and excited to see what he does with that program, and looking forward to watching him compete. Honestly,
guys, the word excitement is, and also passionate, is something that I've learned is a part of every coach we've talked to from IUK. Ms. Akavine, Nick Leahy. Also, I'm pretty sure later on we'll get to hear from Ms. Heather Hayes, and passion will be something that comes up from her as well. Everyone's passionate. Everyone's excited. That esports thing, man, like I said, I like video games, but this is a different animal.
It is.
And so I'm going to be interested to hear kind of your feedback over the next few weeks about the competitions, how they feel, their excitement, winning and losing, like all that kind of stuff. Because as exciting as video games are, this is a different level of competition for that field.
It is, and it's not a competition that I've personally witnessed, because I'm not a video gamer. But again, I keep using the word excited, and I think that's the best way to describe what's happening, not just in esports, but just in our department in general. We're 11 years young, and just a lot of success, a lot of exciting stuff. Really great group of coaches, great group of staff, great group of student athletes, and it's a privilege for me to kind of be their leader and watch all of them succeed at the high levels that they do.
One thing I noticed that was announced about a couple hours prior to us recording this today is there's a new women's golf coach, Miss Brandy Jones. From what I understand, she was pretty good at IUK as a golfer.
So Brandy is she's one of a kind. She is I don't even want to throw arguably in front of it. I think she's the best golfer, male or female, that we've ever had at IU Kokomo, and again, excited. Really looking forward to see her take over the program with the caliber of player she was. Played in the national championships her last 2 years, placed tied for 19th in the country during her final season this past spring. So just, the ability for her to share that experience and to share her knowledge of golf with the connections that she has in the Kokomo community, the golf community, is a really fun time, and I'm trying to stay away from exciting because I know I use that quite a bit. Yeah. But they competed this past weekend, and this announcement's a few days late, but I'm glad we got it out. But yeah, competed for the first time this past weekend with her at the helm of the program, and I think she will, take our team to new heights and, have them competing on the conference and the national level in a matter of time.
So from your standpoint, from what you're able to kind of dive into when it goes to you hiring a new coach, what is a process like? Length of it, how many people are in the room consulting, things like that?
Yeah, so it depends. It differs from job to job, and typically our hiring group are our coaches and our staff, because that's who they're going to be working with on a day in and day out basis. So, being able to have those people with a seat at the table and interviewing these candidates for these different jobs is extremely important, because we want to make sure they're a good fit within that group, right? Because, I don't know how much you've heard it, but you'll continue to hear with our group culture, right? We want to have a good culture. We've got a really, really great group of coaches who get along with each other, who support each other, and really want to see each other be successful. So I think, having that group of, peers or colleagues at that table when we're working through those searches is important, because that's, at the end of the day, who they're going to have to work with day in and day out. And we always want people who want to be at IU Kokomo, right? You can find somebody who just wants a job, or, who's just trying to find their next job. But I think what you'll find with our group is our people want to be here, and they love to be here. They jump in with both feet. If they're not from the Kokomo community, they immerse themselves in that community. And I think that's important when we're looking for that next person. And ultimately our job at the end of the day is to support student athletes. So, somebody that can connect and build relationships and support their student athletes, and see them come in as most of the times immature 18-year-olds and, leave as mature 21 to 22-year-olds, and feel that they had just somewhat of an impact in that growth and in that maturity, I think is what's fulfilling for us, on that side of things. So, timeline again is different, but it's a thorough timeline and a thorough search when we're going through these things. And, it's never a fun process replacing somebody, but, I think we've done a pretty good job of getting the pieces in place to make sure that we have the most success we can. And, success is easy. Year one success is easy. The hardest thing in college athletics is finding that sustained success. And I think as you talk to some of our coaches, you'll talk to Coach Hayes here a little bit later. She's found sustained success. With what she's done in her resume and her pedigree, I think speak volumes to her as a coach and her as a person. But, finding the piece to that sustained success is the hard part.
That sustained success is a great way to kind of go into Ms. Heather Hayes, getting a little preview to hearing a little bit. You mentioned a couple times since we've been together that IUK is in their 11th year as an athletic department. Yep. Ms. Heather Hayes is in her 11th year as the volleyball coach. And so that, you talk about sustained success and trying to get year one, year two, but also year 4, 5, and 6, not just someone who's there, but is productive and that successful and sustaining that level of success as well. Sounds like that's something you guys have found with Heather Hayes.
There's no question about that, Jay. And I mean, I think Heather is a person who, and let me say this, I like, and all of our coaches are doing a great job, but, from my perspective, if a coach could have 15 Heather Hayes, she's organized, she's all those things, and kind of is along with most all of our coaches who make my job easier. Surround yourself by great people. It makes your life a little bit easier. And watching her have that sustained success and graduate her players, bring in quality kids from a character standpoint, is what we do, and that's what we look for. And she's done a heck of a job with it. And her volleyball team is an exciting team to watch. The pace they play at, it's just a fun event. And if people in Kokomo, haven't been to something or a volleyball match on our campus, I strongly encourage it, because it's a really up tempo, just a loud, fun environment, and would encourage anybody who hasn't been out to go check that out.
That success there, and volleyball is one of those sports that I have watched on TV. I don't know very well. I don't know all of the rules, but one thing about volleyball, women's volleyball especially, they're excited. Every single match I watch is exciting to watch, and I have not seen one at IU Kokomo yet. I say yeah because I do have plans to go watch the ladies play down the road. But we keep saying the word exciting, but it seems like that's the word that describes everything that goes on at IU Kokomo. Yep. And my guess is from you, seeing the girls play, it's exciting. It's a fun atmosphere. And I'm pretty sure I can assume they enjoy playing together.
Absolutely. And I think that's, we talk sustained success and culture. I think that's how you sustain success, is have a good culture and have a group of, I think she's had 19 players this year. And as you can imagine, it's probably hard to gel 19 personalities to kind of toss their ego at the door and compete for the better of the team and in the better of the group. And year in and year out for the last 11 years, she has done that. So, it's a pleasure to have her on our staff, and always exciting to watch her team compete.
Got to hear a little bit from Tom about Miss Heather Hayes, the IU Kokomo women's volleyball coach. We're going to get to hear from Heather Hayes herself next on the show as the Cougar Cast rolls on. All right, we are back here at the Cougar Cast, and sitting next to me is not Tom Norris once again. It is the head volleyball coach at IUK, Miss Heather Hayes. And before recording, I learned a lot about the volleyball team that I didn't know before. I realized that her overall winning record coming into the season, 291 and 86, a record of 131 and 16 overall in conference. But there's a lot of other great things going on with the volleyball team. Miss Heather, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And I'm sitting here kind of amazed that we are sitting next to, as someone said, greatness, and the coach that coaches a very successful volleyball team. Can you talk about some of just the accomplishments that have happened under your watch as a volleyball coach?
Yeah, so this fall is my 11th season, and we've been fortunate to win our conference for the last 8 years and advance to the national tournament for the last 8 consecutive years as well. We're ranked 30th in the country this season. We've already defeated number 22 and number 14 in the nation. We just defeated number 14 in the nation, actually, this last weekend. We traveled to Omaha, Nebraska to go out and compete at a high level, at an elite level, and wanted to go compete with the best teams in the country. And just trying to prepare us, for our conference season and hopefully another opportunity to play in the national tournament.
So amazing. I love hearing about people that do great things, whatever field. But then when it's a coach who wins conference one, you're great. Conference another, you're great. But it's consecutive over and over and over. How do you keep the team together and level-headed to remember what the goal is for the end of the season?
Sure. I mean, that's certainly, as a challenge each year, our target on our back gets bigger and bigger. Yeah. And so that definitely can be difficult. And so we really try to talk about just taking it one day at a time, that if we don't take care of business one day at a time and one opponent at a time, then we can't reach those goals of making it back to the national tournament. And so just trying to keep things small goals, right? And break them up into smaller pieces instead of looking at the big picture. Because I think when you look at the big pictures and you only look at the national tournament, you're going to mess up along the way. And so we just try to break that into smaller pieces.
Has that been something that has been kind of the mindset right now? Had the IUK invite, just went up to Omaha, Nebraska, kind of the small pieces. Is that kind of the mindset right now early in the season?
Yes, actually this year we knew we had a lot of talent, we thought, with our team. And so we actually created the toughest preseason we've ever played. And that goal was just to challenge this team to be the best it could be. And so, our goal, we won 30 games last year, but this season we put together a very stacked preseason. And so our goal was just to come out of it with a winning record. And we're 5-3 with one tournament left to go. So we're definitely, on pace to reach that goal. It's not really about the overall record for us. It's like at what level we're going to play. And so playing the best teams in the country is preparing us for our ultimate goal.
How far in advance do you make those preseason or non-conference schedules? Is it the season before? After that's over, we start compiling that, or is that like a 2 or 3 year project to get to where we are right now?
Sure. I would just say for the most part 6 to 9 months, but big trips like Omaha, I think we started planning a year in advance. Okay. Those kind of big things, and our goal to be in the future would be like a trip every 4 years, like kind of a bigger trip. And so we'll start saving money and fundraising and things like that for it. So those bigger trips definitely are more planning involved.
In my preparation for this conversation with you today, I saw that you used to coach at Frankfort High School. You said you're from Frankfort, Indiana. I'm not trying to go back to the high school way and describe that time period in your life, but what was that transition like, going from a high school coach, high school teacher, to being a volleyball coach of a college volleyball team?
Sure. Well, at the end of the day, they're just students, right?
Right,
I mean,
right.
and as a 16 years in education, I just think the gym is just a different type of classroom to teach, right? And so they're not that far off in age. I taught seniors.
Okay.
And so getting them right out of, high school, they're very similar in age. And at the end of the day, all you're doing is really teaching, right?
Yes.
You're still molding young women, to be the best that they can be. And so in terms of those types of things, I don't think it's different. I think it's different in terms of, like, in high school, some people play just to play with their friends, but collegiately it's players who really want to, really want to be there. You obviously have more selection because you can recruit people to your program, and obviously those elements are different. But at the end of the day, you're really just still teaching people.
You seem passionate about that teaching element. Is that something that's been a part of your life for a while, just the passion you have for teaching individuals?
Yeah, no question. I mean, I'm an education major. I spent 16 years, as I said, as a high school teacher before. I had no envision of being a college volleyball coach. I was just going to work at my alma mater as a teacher and coach high school volleyball, and I was going to retire. So, and then here I am starting year 11 at IU Kokomo. And so life definitely can, throws curveballs at you and takes you on different paths. So education is something I'm extremely passionate about. 11
years at one spot. At some point, some people, not saying you, because it doesn't sound like that's happened at all, but some people kind of maybe come and they take it for granted, literally, that they are in the spot where they are. Do you ever have those moments where it's like, wow, I am literally doing something that I love every single day in the same spot for 11 years?
Yeah, definitely. It's surreal to think that coaching is a career sometimes, I think. And so it's been a pleasant change.
A nice change this season. You mentioned to me earlier that there are a couple women that got recognized at the conference level for their accomplishments over the past week. Who are those athletes and what did they do? Yeah, so we have a conference defender of the week, and that went to our libero, Olivia Smith. She's actually returning libero of the year. She won the conference of the year last year. She put up 5.7 digs per set this weekend to earn the best libero, basically, of the week performance-wise. And then our setter, Kaylee Lyons, won setter of the week. She put up 6.2 assists, but 3 digs a set, which for a setter is incredibly high. And so she was kind of recognized as the setter with the best performance for the week. What does that mean for you as a coach to have not one, but 2 recognized in the same week at the conference level for what they did while you're coaching them in these matches? Sure. Well, I mean, we're obviously very proud of them. They definitely do a lot for our team. We have a lot of good players in our program that all kind of have different roles. And, there's sometimes certain people who definitely get the most visibility, right, and the most credit. But for our team to do what it's doing at the national level, it really takes every one of our players. But definitely there's certain people that are in the limelight the most, and those are definitely a couple of them. And we're definitely a good team because of them. But definitely there are other pieces that we need to make this do what it does every year. I'm going to circle back to something that I've always wondered about volleyball. I know sports pretty well, but volleyball's one of those. I know you get 3 hits on one side and it goes over the net, and I know there's a line that needs to go in. The libero, I don't know anything about it. I see somebody out there in a different color. I think it's a different color jersey. And I'm trying to figure out, okay, so how are they able to do this and that? And how can they do this, but that person can't do that? Can you just describe that position? Not just for myself, but people out there that might wonder, why does that person have a different color jersey on? Yeah, so the officials need to be able to identify them very clearly because they have definitely rules of things they can and can't do compared to other players. And so it's easier for the officials to find that visibility when they're in a different color uniform, right? Yeah. And so they're allowed to kind of sub in and out of the game in a different zone. And again, that needs to be tracked differently. So really the different color is just really to make it easier for the officials to identify when that's taking place. And their freedom is different than other players? Yeah, so they can't play front row at all. Okay. They're not allowed to set an attacker inside the 10-foot line at all. Okay. Just as a few examples. Yeah. So it's that skill set, and also not just being able to do that, but you have to have somebody that can remember like what their limitations are while playing. Because I know myself when I played football and other sports, sometimes I'd forget like, hey, my role on the basketball team is not to do X, Y, and Z. It's that person's job. So it's not only the skill set, but also the mindset and mentality. Like, I had to stay in my role and not get outside of that, because if I do, I hurt my team. Yeah, like there's definitely some times where a ball is placed in a certain location on the court and she has to be very aware of, oh, I can't do this because I'm across this line, but I can when I'm on this line. So there's a court awareness that she has to definitely be responsible for. What does it mean to you to be the coach of the women's volleyball team at IU Kokomo this season?
I mean, I just consider it a privilege to be able to coach young women and mold young women to help, become even better people off the court and help just be a part of their journey, honestly, just to be a small part of their journey to help them reach their goals at the end of the day. I think that's what's really fulfilling.
Do you have any last comments before we close the show about volleyball this season or what it means for you or any other players you want to highlight?
I would just say I would love to see, the Kokomo community come out and support our team. I think they would be pleasantly surprised with the level of talent. You're going to see a high-level national top 25 level of volleyball. And we have some home games coming up. We have one in September, I believe, 14th, 15th, and 19th. And we would love to see you guys. There's going to be really good volleyball, and I think something for the community you would really enjoy. And that would be my challenge, to see some of you guys in the stands.
See him in the stands. We got to hear from the soccer coach earlier, esports a week ago. Really talented and a really successful volleyball coach today. You don't know who we'll get next week. This has been the Cougar Cast. I'm your host, Jay Stevens. We'll see you next week.